Okay, today we're looking at this maps and scales thing, so we're going to be looking at the scale. Hopefully you've gotten down those first 4 measurements. It does say, again, the scale of the map is 1 centimeter to 5 miles. That means 1 centimeter on the map in front of you represents 5 miles. Generally speaking, this will be shown with some sort of key or legend on the map. What did you get for this first one? How far is it from Findlay to Kentucky? Exactly 3 centimeters. Sounds good to me. What'd you get for 2? That was exactly 4 centimeters. What about 3? 2.5 centimeters. And what'd you get for 4? 3.25? Oh, 3. 3? I got 3.25 and I measured it like 6 times. Let's try it again. Try number 4 again. Let's use 3.1. That's be a nice average. Nope, because it's 3.1. People would be pretty upset if you didn't measure it correctly. Okay, we'll average it. We'll say 3.1. That's fine. So here's how we're going to work this out. If we know that 1 centimeter is representing 5 miles, miles can be abbreviated MI, you can set up a proportion here that says this is 3 centimeters over X miles. What you do is you'll cross multiply, you'll divide by 1, so you'd have 15 equals 1x, or x equals 15 miles. Make sure to circle your answer. Should be good. I need you to show your work with this. What that means is that you are setting up your proportion. You're cross multiplying, you're dividing, you got things going on, you should be okay. Every single time we're always going to use the same scale because 1 centimeter equals 5 miles. We know that. So then we'll just say that's 4 centimeters over, again, x miles. We'll cross multiply here. That would give us 20 equals 1x, or that x equals 20 miles. 2.5 makes it a little bit more complicated, but we still use 1 centimeter as the equivalent of 5 miles. If we have 2.5, what's 2.5 times 5? 12.5. So we have 12.5 equals 1x. X equals 12.5 miles. Make sure there's a label on it. You need to make sure you have the label. Last one, 1 centimeter over 5 miles is the same thing as 3.1 centimeters over x miles. You cross multiply, that would be 15.5 equals x. So make sure that x equals 15.5 miles. Are you guys okay with this? It all comes from what it tells you in the directions, and your measurements need to be precise. Okay? You don't, by the way, with rulers, you don't measure from the edge of the ruler. It's not how you measure. You measure from the start of the little line. Okay, so where it says 0 is where you measure from. Next thing. This is between 2 locations on a map is given along with the actual distance between the locations. Find the scale of the map. So it says the map distance is 6 inches. Then we'll talk about how that actually represents 48 miles. It says find the scale of the map. What do you think that's going to be? Yep, so 1 inch is equal to 8 miles, like so. And that's the way that I would write it, 1 inch to 8 miles. Scales are usually written with the ratio notation, just like that. All we did is we found the common denominators, we simplified the fraction. Those are both divisible by 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 48 divided by 6 is 8. Next we have 2 centimeters over 8 miles. Those are both divisible by 2. So we'd have 1 centimeter is going to represent 4 miles on your map. I think it's really good to write it in ratio notation. Generally speaking, scales are written in ratio notation. Why don't you guys try the last 2 on your own? For the last 2 on your own. Mixes by Springfield. All right, turn the page. Oh, hopefully you guys got 1 inch to 50 feet and 1 inch to 80 kilometers. Okay, turn the page. There's a Sherman tank. It says a model of a Sherman tank has a scale of 1 to 16. 1 to 16. So we're measuring this tank in centimeters, I guess. It's kind of interesting. The length of the actual tank is, so we're going to talk about actual over the model. Okay, so if the actual is 584 centimeters, what is the model? Well, we go, well, that's kind of interesting. Do you think the actual is going to be on, let me rewrite this. Should it be actual over model or model over actual? Yeah, if we're going to be using 1 to 16, would it make sense the actual is going to be bigger? So we'll probably do model over that. So we're going to use the 1 to 16. People always ask me, well, where do you put the 584? Well, that's why I put the model over actual. You have to figure out which one's which. So 584, is that the actual tank or the model? That's the actual one, so it's going to go on the bottom. It's the real tank. It's in centimeters. We'll put that X on top. So we'd have cross multiply, we'd have, I don't know where to put this. This would be 16x equals 584. We divide both sides by this, and x should equal 36.5 centimeters. That's a little bit over a foot. That's a pretty big model tank. Well, I guess if you're counting the gun thing, I don't know. The width of the model is 16.375 centimeters. Again, we're going to use this 1 over 16 scale. Is the 16.375 centimeters going to be on top or bottom if we're talking about the model? Yeah, it's going to go on top, 16.375, because it's the model's on top, the actual's on the bottom. We have to cross multiply. It's going to be close to 1. The width of the model. Actually, it's not going to be close to 1 at all. It's going to be really big. Sorry. I was like, that's not even close. What did you guys get as an answer? Okay. X is going to equal 262. What are our units? Centimeters. I don't know about anybody who measures tanks in centimeters, but whatever. Australians measure them in centimeters. Wouldn't you measure it in, like, meters maybe instead? Everything's in centimeters. No, I don't believe you. The actual tank stands, oh, here we go. Here's something useful. 9 feet tall. Excellent. What is the height of the model in inches? Okay, well, here's the problem. We're talking about 9 feet. We have to convert that into inches. So everyone except for our Aussie, how do you convert feet into inches? Yeah, you multiply by 12. So that would give us, what, 80? Oh, that doesn't make sense. Let's see, 9 times 2 is 8, so 108 inches. Okay, so if we're working with 1 over 16, is my 108 inches going to go on top or bottom? Bottom, because it's actually talking about the actual. So this would be 108 over x. So one thing to really watch is if we're talking about feet and we're talking about inches, generally speaking, you're going to put them in whatever the smaller units are. So if we're, usually you convert down to like inches, because inches are smaller than feet. Okay. When you cross multiply, you'd have 16x. 16x equals 108. You would divide both sides by 16. What does x equal? 6.75 inches. What is the height of the model? 6.75 inches. I think that makes pretty good sense. Are you guys okay with that? Okay. Another map, right? The actual distance between Pittsburgh and Leeville is shown on the map is 24 miles. Use the ruler to determine the scale of the map in terms of centimeters to miles. Okay? So 24 miles is going to go on the bottom. You guys are using your ruler to measure Pittsburgh all the way to Leeville. Sorry, what is it? Pittsfield. I don't know why that's so hard to say. Pittsfield all the way to Leeville. How long is Pittsfield to Leeville? Exactly 4.4 centimeters. Okay, 4 centimeters over 24 miles. So you would divide that out. That'd be 1 centimeter represents 6 miles. That's our scale. Use a ruler to estimate the actual distance between Pittsfield and Northvale. Northvale. Okay, so what is it in centimeters? 2.5. Okay, so we have 2.5 centimeters. 2.5 centimeters. So if we're talking about, this would be 1 centimeter, represents 6 miles. What we just did. We have to use our x here. We cross multiply. 2 times 6 is 12 plus the 0.5. So that'd be 15 miles. Is that what you guys got? You guys are so smart. All right. Are we good so far? Is everybody okay with this? Okay, so let's apply this in real life then. Okay, here's Missouri. Generally speaking, you'll see something down here, some sort of legend, some sort of key, some sort of whatever else. It says use the Missouri map and a ruler. First measure the scale of the map by using centimeters and miles. Okay, so measure that distance. It says 50 miles, right? You're using a ruler. You're measuring this. I think so too. When you measure that to the nearest tenth of a centimeter, what do we have? 2.4 centimeters is correct. Measure it again if you did not get 2.4. It's definitely 2.4 centimeters. Well, you didn't measure it correctly. I'm sorry. 2.4 centimeters. So then what you need to do is I would like you to each measure the distance from Independence to Jeff City, from Nixa to St. Louis, from Weston to Carthage, from Kirksville to Sedalia. I want you to measure those, and we'll get the actual distances. We'll do the exact same thing.